I've got this other question. It feels poorly formed, so you might have to do as much guesswork as answer work here. Um, it has to do with this. I don't know, like the Disney-fication of nature. The sort of like was it Snow White, maybe, or like birds landing on fingers and everyone's friends, and it's all so on and so forth. And I see this, represented a lot in many aspects of the New Age spirituality movement. This kind of like, I mean, it's certainly much more psychedelic than Disney in the New Age movement, but this kind of like everything is beautiful and everything is perfect and it's all like love and so on and so forth. And that, we reconnect with nature to reconnect with this beauty and it's all wonderful and so on and so forth. And in a contrast to that is, the reality that, at least from a human perspective, most things, like most animals anyways, tend to die a pretty horrible death in nature. And nature being nature has also been a part of multiple mass extinctions, long before humans came around and decided to, pull up the leftover bodies of all the deaths that existed beforehand and burning it up into the air to kill more. So I'm wondering, like, how do we reconcile these two views between, this sort of like, oh, it's this beautiful, wonderful connection, and oh, it's actually on this other end, this brutal thing.
Well, what comes to me, I don't know the answer, but what comes to me is that it's not so much a matter of reconcile as to hold these two things as fully as we can and feel the tension between them and somehow allow that tension not to reduce everything to one or the other, but to hold both of those, one in each hand, and to let that tension be part of steering one's life. That in particular, I think that the tendency for human beings to blame themselves for what has taken place is perhaps just as anthropocentric as thinking that we're the crown of creation and the measure of all being. If we are, as I believe, one cell in the living body of the earth, then this is the earth doing it to herself, that we aren't separate from the earth. This is the earth. It wasn't one man that walked on the moon. This was the earth that walked on the moon. This is the earth that's sending probes out into space. This is all the earth's doing. And for us to take all the blame is, just as, self-centered as for us to think that, that we're, God's gift or whatever it is. And so from that point of view, when I look back upon the lack of sentimentality of nature, and the kind of horrors and cruelty that we know to exist in nature and the mass extinctions and in the universe itself, like supernova explosions that blow entire galaxies to pieces, that this is who we are, and that it seems to me that the very attributes that are driving us towards destruction, the greed and the violence, were the very things that allowed us to survive and to get here in the first place. That, there we were stuck in a little shelter and driven out of that shelter where all manner of predators were waiting for us by our hunger, and our hunger requiring us to destroy animals or plants. The whole world is consuming itself the whole time. That's the nature. That's what this place is like, So that's what you're holding in one hand. And then in the other hand, yes, we can now see all these other things, like there's this incredible beauty there as well, And so how do we steer with both hands, So anyway, that's about as far as I can get with it.
I like that. How do we steer with both hands? 10 and 2.